let's begin. Did you think
Alright.
Ymir was here?
Yes.
Don't you lie to me? What the heck?
I did not.
What do you mean, will I?
Wait,
I
this
didn't
is
see
messed
it.
up. Echoes got in more 2 years in a row. They just hate these guys, lol.
Definitely not.
It was definitely not going to be air, and it definitely wasn't going to be Hell's little servant.
Yeah.
Okay.
gang.
Why?
I'm gonna play the role of the person who had no idea here and say I thought they were gonna save Ymir for like 2 or 3 months from now.
Because Ascended Fjord didn't come until the end. I don't expect Ascended Air to come to the end. Ganglut obviously has more to offer to the story. We don't even know exactly what they look like. And if they are going to do any Ascended Hero and more, it's going to have to be Ymir. Not to mention Ymir... Tempest Trial spoilers.
You want to know the problem with this thought process?
What?
This is bad business decisions, straight up. If you want to sell a product, what do you need to do? It's like business 101.
Talk about it first.
You
Make them a good unit.
Oh my god. Okay, yes, whatever product you're selling has to provide value, but you gotta market the damn thing. You gotta establish connections to the end user. We literally had her say like 4 sentences. I guess, yes, Tempest Trial is over. I guess she says a bit more than that. But that's it. Like, her existence has not even been 10 days.
Niffle literally got a Tempest Trials debut and was just thrown right in.
Yeah, and she sold.
I remember that. Her design did favors.
Wait, was Niffle really that quick?
Niffle literally
She was
came out.
very quick.
She came out the day after her Tempest Trials ended.
Yeah, it's the same timing as Ymir.
Yeah. The thing
I'm
about
guessing they're gonna release Ganglaw out of September like they did Mooseball.
Yep.
okay.
The whole point is to start off immediately with the new OC and then end it off with the other new
unfortunately,
OCs.
people in Fae have a problem with keeping memory about these things, so they have to make it immediate.
The point is,
Looks weird.
they built absolutely nothing. Like, at least with Niffle, her dialogue was a lot more commanding. This new Tempest Trials, by the way, randomly cuts into just fun moments. I'm like genuinely confused. Like, what is
It doesn't bother
this?
to care, so why should I at
At
this
least it
point?
cuts it. It's supposed to be there because these Tempest Trials otherwise have nothing to do with the characters that are actually in the Tempest Trials.
Yeah, so
You
it's
do
like
realize how
all
weird
like,
this is, right?
you
Like,
get to actually read about the characters.
Oh, it is absolutely weird, but it also is the only way the Tempest Trials isn't just story focused.
I know, but
so it doesn't help from the perspective of like you're seeing it and it just randomly cuts in with
Listen,
like
listen, you Dumbo. I
the other
understand.
stuff. But if people want both, they can get it.
What? I want a pizza. I want a hamburger. What do? We put it together. Really? Is that what? Come on.
Hamburger pizza.
Oh my god. That's a terrible idea. Yet that's what they're doing. That's why the point I was trying to make was just like, we get off of a super serious premise. No? It is pretty serious. Like, oh, hey, it's Air again. Oh, hey, we had this entire puppet little show again, introducing us, building this up, to be continued, implying, hey, the Tempest Trials will resolve it. You get to the Tempest Trials, we get a few moments right at the start about Air, Gangrel, and it sounds really serious. Then 3 days later, it's Yogurt and Gunthra trying to convince Niffle to go into water with them and have some fun while she's just eating ice cream treats. Like, what are you doing? This is not a good idea. And then at the end of all of that, it's just like, yeah, here's Ymir. It's such a mess.
This was their band-aid
such a
solution
mess.
to what happened last summer. Last summer they just skipped doing the like typical like fun Tempest Trials stuff altogether.
Yeah.
And now they're just smashing them both together.
Okay,
Literally,
this is
last
why.
summer there was nothing to do with the banner.
At the very least, when it came to Niffle, it felt serious. The story was focused. There was a point. They were driving to something. With this Tempest Trials, I was just confused. It was just like, oh no, potentially disastrous situation. War between worlds, gods paying the blood price, having fun at the beach, eating some shaved ice. Like, come on. That was just way too weird. Anyways, whatever.
It was
The
not
point-
the ideal solution.
I just don't get it. Like, how can we end up like this? You guys might be like, well, Nims, you're complaining about nothing. Yeah, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Because at this point, the people who really care about things like that, if you're a player in Fire Emblem Heroes and you genuinely care about story, you would have left a long time ago. Those people are gone, okay? So fine, it doesn't affect the people who would have really cared. They're long gone. But it's just disappointing that they're willing to like go to do this. I really hope there's more focus and thought going into this, because it
There
really
won't be,
feels
they
like
never, nope.
well,
Don't kid
What?
yourself on that. It's going to be intro story, ending story, middle, the actual Tempest Trials. It'll be that way probably for all foreseeable ones.
Most likely.
I actually wanted to applaud Fire Emblem Heroes doing the Tempest Trials with extra story moments, because I was like, this is a great concept. They should do this in the future. And then I read it, and then I realized, no, this is how you should not
That's the
do
problem
it.
with all face story. That's you think it's a good concept, and then you're like, oh, nice. I wonder what's gonna happen. And then you read it, and it's like, wow, okay, this kind of sucks.
I don't mind it. I'll be
I mean,
perfectly
I
honest.
don't hate it compared to regular phase story, but it's just it's never as good as if you're hoping high, you're always gonna get disappointed.
Well, how much do you think? How much do you think it would take to pay for a writer for Fire Heroes? Listen, I'm serious here. What if we crowdfund for Ice to get $20,000?
I'm sure they'd listen.
I'm sure $20,000 get you some poor chap in Japan to be a good writer here. Listen, you don't get paid a lot to be a writer in Japan. There are like 1 billion light novel writers, for example. Everyone wants to do this. $20,000 might not seem like a lot for a job, but like it's a part-time job. I'm pretty sure we can get them a legit writer. If that's what it takes. Oh man. I could do better for $10. Okay, why? To be honest, if this is the standard that we have, I'm sure most of you guys can do better. All right, enough about that though. Let's talk about the banner. Aside from questionable decisions, and at this point, by the way, what is your interpretation of the banner's name? Special summon Ymir More. It's not a special summon though.
I guess they're calling it that because it's an ascended and like a new OST or something. Like I don't.
Yeah.
But they've always saved the terminology special summon for that type of banner. This is a normal hero banner.
Weird translate.
Well, they say special hero summon, so yeah.
Weird translation. That's as far as I could possibly assume.
Okay.
Eh.
That's special heroes, not special summon. Okay, fine. Let me reword it then. What makes this a special summon?
The fact there's a god.
Okay, then
and
why
an
did they do that
ascended
for
unit. That's a
Nifl and
legendary
Muspel?
unit. No
Then why
ascended
did-
unit.
But we've had ascended banners before. Is this special because there's a god and ascended hero together? Oh my god. All right, well. If you try
Well,
hard
maybe
enough
because-
to connect the dots,
Yeah.
just put on that tinfoil hat and you're going to accomplish everything.
Yeah, first ascending unit, it's also a legendary hero.
Chat, does that actually matter to you? Be honest with yourselves. Is this actually a special banner in your books? It doesn't feel special at all whatsoever to me.
It feels
Fun- Yeah?
unique, I guess.
No.
It is unique.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's go over the banner. Shouts Valentia. Shouts Valentia.
I was expecting like anything but this though, because
I was expecting Valentia or Fate. Not Fate's Three Houses. Those are the only two ones I expected at all.
I was expecting Fates at Three Houses and pretty much nothing else. I just was convinced they would.
Valentia
keep the
was
line
midpoint.
Yeah, but
Valentia was midpoint, so if it were to happen, it'd be around this time. Same with Fates.
Wait a
And
second.
then Three Houses. I don't know. if
yeah, but they
wanna-
delayed Echoes
Definitely.
so long last time. They just kept.
They
skipping
did,
it.
but
And
sometimes they want to do it multiple years in a row to catch up. I don't know.
Wait a
yes,
second.
but I don't know. I wasn't convinced.
Waiting a second.
I mean, Dex won't stop talking. So, okay. Now that I think about it, did Xander come out by himself with no follow-up whatsoever? No build-up, no follow?
Yes.
Oh
Wait,
my
which
god.
Xander?
That's happened a couple times. That's happened a couple times up to this point.
Yeah, no, I know it's happened before, but it's generally not a good idea. They really screwed him up, I think. They released Dimitri before Xander, and they got him no coverage from Associated Banner. Well,
He was doomed no matter what. Anybody that realistically that isn't super broken was dead on arrival because of the banners surrounding it.
well, that's why
That's just-
I feel like if they want Xander to succeed, you give him a Fates banner earlier in the month, then you release him at the end of the month. So people who are like, wow, these heroes that didn't make it into the Fates banner, and then just Xander coming out of nowhere, people have been like, wow, we thought this would never happen. And you move Dimitri to the second banner instead of the first banner. It's a second summer banner.
Summer out. Rias's summer is always first.
Yeah, I know, but
Waste.
they could move it. Like, there's no reason whatsoever.
They
All
like
right.
their trends.
Well, the point was, they could have done a few things to give him a better chance, a fighting chance. And because they didn't, he's the worst.
But it would have been doomed no matter what, if I'm being completely honest.
You still think, after everything I just said, he would still be the worst performing banner of the year?
One of,
Really?
probably.
I don't know, but
I think he's in the
Oh,
bottom
well,
half,
everything
sure,
you
but I
found
don't think last place. Last place is really hard. By the way, you do know what's the
We
actual
definitely
last
tanked
place?
hard.
the banner shares didn't help them exactly, so
Yeah,
I do want to point this out. While Legendary Xander is the worst performing banner of the year, what's the second worst banner? Do you know?
no, because I don't keep track of that.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
sure
yeah.
either.
The reason why I
remember
bring
looking
this
at the
up-
image, forgot.
The reason why I bring this up is because you guys are shitting on Xander for not performing well enough to owe him a better positioning. But the banner that is second to him, it's not Oder. Oder's not of this year, by the way. It's 2022.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it was
Oda
last
couldn't-
year.
Yeah, obviously.
Nana! BTS got it. Nana's banner. Legendary
Yeah.
Nana.
Mhm.
And are you going to
Yeah,
tell me
and-
Legendary Nana is not a strong unit? No way. You can't be that crazy.
I would never say that.
So that's the thing I'm
I
trying
would
to get
never say
across.
Xander's a bad unit either.
Nana, I think most people can agree, is one of the best offensive units in the entire game. Like, in terms of tank buster, I don't really think there's a better unit.
What was your rating
People
for her
argue.
again? Was it like
Upon
a 6.5
release-
out of 10?
Did I give her 6.5 out of 10?
I think you did.
It was close to that at least.
No higher
Yeah.
than 7. It was.
I thought I gave her a 7.
It was either 6.5 or 7. I can't remember which.
Okay,
I feel
well-
like it was 7, but it could be 6.5. Yeah.
Wasn't generous.
Well, you do know why I wasn't generous, right? There was absolutely nothing exciting to her about me, and it was just meta. And guess what? People agreed, because she's the second worst performing banner of the year. So the entire point I'm trying to get
Wait,
across
shit,
is...
you're-
Well, there are a number
moment.
of factors there, but yes.
Oh, are you... Yes, there are other factors concerning Xander as well. For example, on his banner, in his color, you have Freya. At this point, who wants to use Freya? There
Yes,
you go.
That was my point.
we
I
can
made
go,
to you yesterday.
we can go
yeah.
into a bunch of extra points. It doesn't really matter. If the unit itself is good enough, they can carry a stupid bad banner. At the very least, carry it past to bottom 2. You know?
Well, they can be still really good. And in the case of someone like Nana, it's just if people aren't excited enough by them, if they don't feel like there's something new enough, they can still be really good and just not perform well. It just goes to show that happens.
My argument is simply we don't actually know the sales data, so it doesn't really matter to me. We just know assumed data.
Are you... okay.
Because that's just first day sale data, so who knows? Maybe somebody summoned a lot on the second day.
It's like saying... It's like somebody says, in this jar, there's 999 marbles, and they put an extra marble in it, and you're just like, I don't believe you, because I don't count 1,000 marbles.
Slight fairness, by the way,
At a
to
certain
Nana,
point,
that
you
was
should
also-
believe it. Yeah,
Slight
go ahead.
fairness to Nana, by the way, that was also the Hero Rises month.
Oh, that's right.
Awful
yeah.
timing for any banner.
You do realize that Hero Rises didn't even do that good.
Still did better than most new hero banners for the year. It was like, I think, the second highest year from what I remember.
A Hero Rises officially ranks as middling, which is weird to me.
Upper mid, from what I... let me double check this.
Which is interesting. I would have thought it would have been at the very top. But...
Well, I mean, I've talked about Fey revenue dropping. It's not... People don't give a crap about meta anymore. Everything's meta. So who cares? If you buy into a current meta, it doesn't really matter because there'll be another meta unit. And we start with those set characters. Do you know how many Celicas are in the game, chat? Think about it for a moment.
Do we have like 5 or 6?
Base, legendary,
Mm-hmm.
technically duo with you got...
Brave.
Brave, you got legendary. What did I say?
Yeah, you said
Brave,
that already.
legendary, duo. There's at least one more Celica, I'm thinking. Fallen.
Yeah, we got
Yes.
Fallen. And
There
I
you
mean,
go.
Resplendent doesn't really count, but it's still
Splendor
there.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
So, depending
So-
on how you count with as a dual hero, but relatively speaking, I think it's 5. This will be the 6th one then.
Yeah, which is, in the one way, weird, though. There is hardly a single seasonal Celica.
Oh yeah, it's base, legendary, brave, fallen, and ascendant, and then duo if you count that with all.
Yep.
Yep.
So, 5 to 6, depending on how you look at it, and only one seasonal. The rest are either voted or mainline.
Okay. So the reason why I bring this up is because this is not a hero that needs another copy. That's a lot. But the reality is this
There
is
are
a
many
hero
heroes that need
that
less.
needs another copy. Because up to this point, chat, who's the best Celica? Fallen? I don't even know anymore. Brave?
No,
what?
definitely not fallen. No, it'd either
Brave.
be brave,
Brave.
or
I'd say
probably
brave, yeah.
All right. And do you see anyone use her?
It's pretty rare. She's
It's
still
rare.
not bad, but
I use her a
I don't
lot,
think she's
actually,
bad.
but I know it's
No, I agree.
uncommon. It's uncommon.
It's uncommon. And she was the first hero to get that cooldown after combat gimmick,
mini spiral.
Yeah, Spiral.
The
for
mini
Gale
Spiral.
Force. I think
right?
only technically Yarn. I think had it before, but his was impractical.
Yeah,
versus
Yarn
design
was
for
a
their
lot
weapon.
harder to use.
Mm,
For the record, probably one of the cleanest refines ever to make
Yeah.
a unit work.
yeah. So
Mhm.
the reason why I bring this up because she's pretty important, I would say. So it's really nice to see
Yeah.
another iteration of her from Noi. Now, does anybody know the? I've been through
What?
her Cypher art before. I've never seen green as the basis color.
I don't know what this outfit is.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. That's the one thing. I can't identify it at all. Now, I didn't play Shadows of Valentia, so I shouldn't be able to identify it, but it looks weird.
I don't recognize it either.
I don't know the outfit or when this is.
It, yeah, does not exactly look like anything that I've seen on her in Echoes. Her legendary alt is already her.
Yes.
Her overclass, and then
Yeah, that's her over that.
and then Brave is her guide and design, and this
What's
reminds me of something, but I don't know exactly what. It's like
What's the insignia on her tome about?
I think that's Milla's symbol.
It
Yeah.
is? Okay.
Yeah.
No follow
This
up
might-
as a 2-space home.
Hmm.
We truly have
I
come a long
don't
way.
know, but it might be like post Duma Celica.
Well,
when,
yes.
Like Endgame.
Maybe it's one of Noma's hand-me-downs.
It could be like
Clearly,
post Duma, pre-legendary Celica sort of thing.
All right.
Could be, yeah, but this still really rubs me the wrong way. An ascended
Yes.
unit who's already been a legendary.
Oh, I'm not going to argue that, even though
I-
Valentia's ascended candidates are.
Ascended
They could have done
Tatiana
ascended May so easily. May doesn't have a single alt, and she's popular.
Yeah, okay.
But she also
Let's not
doesn't
go there.
deserve the ascended that much.
You want to know? I'm already like not a fan of making this Ascendant Celica because I don't know where this is coming from. But granted, I'm ignorant of the game. But if they went Ascended May, even if I am ignorant of the game, I wouldn't be able to see it.
I would
whatsoever.
not. Ascended May, no. If anything, I'd like Ascended Conrad more than Celica, but
I don't see how it's so so out there. I mean, May, she could literally just get her promoted.
Somewhat important to the main overarching story, besides just being a supporting character.
By the
or
way,
in
May,
their
May
own
is there, May
separate
is there the entire
individual
story.
arc.
Easy,
Everybody's there the
Bowie.
entire story.
No, no. The only people. There
Are
only
you
like
actually
5
arguing
people
for
in
this?
Celica's whole. No, yeah.
Yes,
I'm
Celica has no
completely
friends. We
serious.
get it. Okay, look, the only more fraudulent character I think is like Ascended Ishtar. That also just why?
At
Okay,
least
sure.
that one, we know when that happens, and that makes sense in some way.
At least I get
There
it
were
from
other
the
candidates as well.
right, but at least I get from the point of like they believe she would sell well. Which, by the way, no, not really. But all right.
I mean,
better than bottom
I
two.
It's a Thracia banner. Can't really expect much.
Okay. I mean, if you guys look at like how banners have been doing, the average rank is C and below. Things have not been going well this year. All right, but with all that said, more importantly, going back into Celica, at the very least, I like her a whole lot more than Ishtar because she's interesting. The miracle in her tome, I like that. This is the first legitimate miracle looper since who? Hell?
Since Scion Leaf.
Silent Leaf?
Oh yeah, and Science Leaf is pretty restrictive as well. He has to fulfill.
The only
some pretty
actual
annoying
miracle
conditions.
looper realistically is Hell, because Celica has a threshold for HP. Which, yeah, you can Mystic Boost back out of it technically, but not really. If a fourth
Or
tier HP
well, I
is-
guess you.
Well, what is her full
HP?
HP?
That would.
It's definitely more than 28.
Huh.
I
Well, it'll
guess
be interesting.
32.
Okay. You're
She
right.
could hypothetically do it, but it would be very difficult.
Sure.
Hmm?
But yeah, the HP does bother things. But it's interesting that she can do that because we're all used to mages being super squishy. The fact that she has a built-in miracle makes her a very interesting unit because even without the miracle looping, the fact of the matter is if you can't double her, and with Solo Zofia, you cannot auto double her, you gotta outspeed her. If you cannot double her,
Yep.
she will survive, and if she gets refreshed at that point, she gets desperation set up as well. She could be pretty scary in a lot of team concepts.
She has base 40 HP, by the way.
Yeah, no, you can't miracle loop that without double Mystic Boost.
Or
Or
that's
healing,
rough.
like noontime.
You could run her with even or odd recovery support. And that
Actually,
If you run it with
Totally be
noontime, then
I
you
like that
probably have
idea.
a decent chance of miracle looping.
She fixes
like that idea.
everything wrong with her legendary.
Yes.
I expect
Yeah,
her
that's your
remix
best
to be
chance.
similar TBH.
Especially since she does have tempo.
which by the way,
Yeah, I like that she is just half tempo. She doesn't really need the other half of tempo. It always bothered me that Senate Ishtar got full tempo when she's a full offensive unit. She
It
could have
can
just gotten
help.
half. Well, she could have just gotten half tempo and then another effect that would have made her unique. So
no,
I mean, it's already
it's
tempo
it's
and brave.
it's better this way. I didn't want her to be any
I
better.
prefer it this way.
Yes.
But- yeah,
Okay.
no, I prefer it like Celica does it. Yeah.
I mean, the alternative here is not exactly like huge compared to the other half of tempo. It's 10% of foes attack true damage, which isn't bad. It's just not like, oh my god, this changes everything.
I still prefer
Okay.
it, especially because even if she gets instant special nuked, she's gonna survive. So
Okay, well, listen,
Well,
the
yeah,
point here
I'm not talking about no follow-up.
the point here is this is basically a master class. Like in terms of Mage Celica, not that there were that many, but like there's two others, I guess. But
Two others.
yes. But in terms of that, this is the accumulation. This is the best one by far. And in terms of just
For now.
mages in general. For you
Legendary Celica's remix isn't that far away.
No way. I don't believe that.
She's like the
It's
fourth or
pretty close.
fifth. She's like the fourth or fifth legendary hero post pair up, or a little further than
She's-
that.
she could
No, no,
come
no.
out as soon as like early next year, right? For her remix.
Yeah.
You think she'll be
Depending on
better?
how they pace it, which
That's
she could.
Ooh,
She'll get
maybe.
Solo Zofia too, and a refine to Saintly Seraphim.
no, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
She'll get a
I
new
see.
skill. She could get a new C skill. So
Well,
I
doesn't
see
really-
more
I mean
damage.
that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't matter technically because
So,
it's
chat,
not
I will
You
say
think-
her remix will be goated if she gets Oath 4. What?
Chat, you think she's gonna give Milla's Testament at least a miracle effect in her remix? Legendary
She's not
Celica?
gonna get the mirror. She's not gonna get the remix miracle.
Doesn't
Because
her
she has
weapon
miracle.
doesn't she? She comes with it.
Yeah,
That was
she
a
goes
miracle
with
to
it,
special.
basically.
She's gonna
Okay,
hit
nobody
much
uses
harder
Miracle
and-
to special honor, to be clear, but yes.
Oh no, they do not. If
Yes.
anything, I think what they'll do is remove the HP threshold on Solo Sophia's desperation, so she can just desperation outright, so you don't get hit realistically.
Okay.
And with the better true damage on Saintly Seraphim and the extra stats can grant on her fine, she may be less hardy than the Celica, but she's also gonna hit way harder, way more immediately.
Nah, I don't know.
That's the way I'm
I'll
thinking it's gonna
I'll
be.
see it and believe it when it happens. It's not a guarantee a Legendary Refine is gonna make a hero, or Mythic Mythic Remix is gonna make Legendary or Mythic Remix is gonna make a hero good, and we've seen
Well,
examples of that.
she already does have the baseline of just if she initiates, she straight up deals damage based on 25% of your res. So
Yeah,
I think
Saintly Seraphim
her
is a great
her
start
damage
already.
output is going to be very, very strong. Probably stronger than this Celica's.
I think she needs more
Yeah.
than that. I think you need more than damage output nowadays as a mage to stand
Yeah,
apart.
and she probably will get more than that, but it's just a matter of guessing at this point. So
All right.
Unless you're a
Anyways,
mage cav, then damage output is all you need.
okay. Well, she's not. Okay. Well, that said, so Zofia, it's great to have it. I do feel like it's getting dated to this point, but it's still not follow up, still desperation. Hard to really argue with it even today. Milla's Testament, I think, is a great tome. Slaying, attack speed +6, extra damage output, partial tempo, miracle. That's a fantastic weapon. But the thing that really caught everyone's eyes was infantry null follow-up 3. This is such a weird little skill.
Yep.
I like it, but I really wanted to just give the user null follow-up. In her case, it wouldn't have mattered. But it's a blank C slot on any usable hero otherwise.
It's strict support, which I'm not against from the respect you should not have a C slot that just, as an inheritable, straight up gives you a B slot.
yeah,
the
that's
user.
the thing. It's I mean, it's
There's
something
gotta
that
be
you can
some
use.
sacrifice.
Supportive C slots, in the early stages and even the mid stages of the game were almost exclusively like it was C slots were for support or just debuffing a little bit, like a threaten. And I think that this works perfectly fine. It's really good support, especially on like a dancer or something.
If this were a
I'm
perf skill, that'd be
surprised.
one thing. If this were a perf skill, that'd be one thing, but as an inheritable, no.
The trend we are at nowadays is
This
C-Slot
ascended
provides
Celica is
support to
interesting.
yourself. Yes, she is interesting for a bunch of reasons. But yeah, this bucks the trend because all the C-Slots nowadays being released helps the user itself in one way or another. This does nothing for her, but I get where you guys are going. It could be pretty ridiculous. Still, that caught me off guard. With that said, though...
It caught me up. I can't argue that. It caught me off guard,
it's a little
but I
strange.
much prefer this than the alternative.
It's a little strange for her, like specifically, but for supportive units, it's I think a massive boon.
Okay, such as?
Such as, well, I need dancer. You could run it out of healer. Well, I don't know if healers can.
Any
inherit it, that's the
dancer.
thing.
Any
Any infantry
Why-
dancer, yeah.
Yeah, because the best refreshers are not infantry.
Well, yeah, but you can still they're good.
There is Fallen Ninian,
budget.
at the very least.
Yeah, well, there's Fallen Ninian, but they're also just budget dancers that that people +10, like your Sylvias and your
You realize how
What am I
how
trying to think of?
ridiculously bad it sounds to kill like Ascended Celica for Sylvia.
I know,
Yes.
but the skill itself is. You could run it on Raphael, and he could give you special.
Raphael
cooldown
would
and
actually be really damn
boost
good with
self-follow.
this.
Yeah.
As if he didn't already have enough going on for him.
Okay.
Of course, we brought up August when we were talking about it. I know
Yeah,
August
that's
isn't
right.
common, but August would love it.
I have an August now,
if-
so I'm tempted.
If
Some
you have a
point.
unit in your arena core that is infantry and is not desperate for a C slot, which some people just have random infantries, then infantry no follow-up could be a really good option.
You could run this as a
Something
support
else.
for Yen Fei, and he could run all DR and still get no follow up.
Yeah, which,
Well,
I already
that's
do
the other
fire.
thing.
but yeah.
Most top tier infantry heroes either already have null follow built in or they're running null follow. But you're right about that. You could switch your damage reduction if you really want to now. But
Yeah, you
that's
can
why
opt out of the null follow-up.
you can. You can. You absolutely can. But with the current meta as is, null follow-up is what makes the infantry hero so good in the first place. The reliance on null follow-up, the security of null follow-up, like the advantages that null follow-up provide you. Like it's so crucial to infantry heroes. So I don't mind the timing, because it's actually, if you released this like 3 years ago, this would have been one of the most broken skills. It would have been the most broken skill at the time. But
Oh yeah,
because it's 2022,
this would be stupid. I would never want to see this 3 years ago.
right? Because
No,
it's in 2022, it's
especially
not
since
that
it's
bad.
probably not gonna get. It's not gonna get too much circulation, especially.
Yes, that's what I
There are
agree
gonna be
with.
some niche cases, like the big ones are like, for example, windsweepers can run this, and I mean, yeah, you have to have this buffer with you, but you can have this going and get your windsweep no follow up, no problem, as a hypothetical. So there are cases where it's uniquely useful, but in general, it's just to make your kit flexible.
All right. So to conclude
You
on
could run this
Celica,
on units who inflict. Oh, okay. Just one more thing. You could run this on units who inflict status, like flash or like splash damage and stuff like that. Run that with windsweep, and you get the free null follow up, so they can do damage.
okay, but the question
and
is,
inflict their passives.
the question is who? I
They
can't think of
can
anybody.
Niffle.
Infantry null follow up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. I was getting a little ahead of myself.
I can't even think of a scenario.
I mean, you. Jafar meta.
Shush!
Oh my
I
god.
don't know.
Okay, well, we're now getting incredibly desperate, so we're gonna move on. But with that said, Celica's not bad. The look is something. She definitely stands out. I don't know.
Infantry mages are predisposed to an awkward place no matter what, but this is a really solid unit and definitely tries the best to make the most of the archetype. And that
Yeah.
C-slot, it won't put Legendary Byleth or Lilith out of a job, don't think that. But it definitely offers some really nice options for the people who have the resources to get it.
Okay, well, better than Ishtar is what I think. Anyways, moving on. Sweet baby sis.
Yep.
Est. God. Why are the Valentia White Wings so much more attractive and better looking than the Shadow Dragon versions? It's not even close.
Jose Horiguchi knows what's up.
Yes, he does.
I don't see it, but okay.
She looks way better than any other S.
That's 'cause-
okay. Spring S looks. Spring S actually
Spring
looks
S
pretty
looks
good.
fine, but
Okay, well, with that said, I like this idea, even if it's not the freshest idea. Essentially, they've recreated Spring Maria and made Est.
Not quite as DR heavy as she is.
It's
but
not-
Still, it's
yes.
got vibes of that.
It's not, but in return, she gets Kanto, so it's fair in my books. And instead of defense,
Kanto's the big part.
right? And in it's defense versus res, so she's better suited against dragons, but she might be better suited as a whole. Now she will take damage. Maria literally took no damage. It could get to that level.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I like
Maria's
that
cap
idea.
is ridiculous.
And this unit has really bad HP, so she's not going to make the greatest use of that damage reduction.
Est is, I mean, she will kind of.
How much HP does S have?
35.
Okay,
What?
that's sort of a wait. Does she actually have 30?
Yeah, 35.
Okay, if she only has 35 HP, you better drop that attack res push. It's not gonna be very useful if you're gonna drain your own HP too.
It's Spring Maria recreated, just without the amazing. No built-in IOTS shield, and no fight value damage reduction, and no healing.
She's probably
Yes.
putting it all into speed, attack speed, and res.
That's the thing. This is the first S that's gonna have really good speed. It's gonna be better than Maria, I'm willing to bet, because of the HP value difference.
Yeah, how do you? Est is, I mean, Maria also has pretty bad HP.
Maria has what, 36 or something?
Yeah, I don't know how they're getting away with that in 2022, but that does mean Est is gonna have a really good attack speed, res at the very least, and probably usable def. I mean,
Right.
Maria for some reason has a res stat because there's too much BST.
Yeah, but at least S is actually going to use her res productively, and her defense is going to be used, in her melee matchups anyway. So she at least has her stat allocation will likely fit her role better.
Yep. All right. So, Flow Feather, just like Maria, I'm not going to like the idea of foddering their B slots from the reality of I can hardly think of heroes that can use this really well. You can make the argument in terms of like free-to-play heroes, like, oh, base Est, sure, fair enough, but I don't really think she needs it.
Sigrun.
Sigrun,
7 per hit
Sheeta,
true damage on a B slot isn't bad.
it's not bad. I agree with that.
That could work. It's a lot better than like a Wyvern Flight Pegasus.
You're really the only flow I'd say is like I'd say this is probably the second best flow, maybe. Especially since there are more melee flyers that tend to have a decent res stat.
Second best after Flow Guard, you mean?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I do. Just want to check.
I would not say flow refresh. I guess
there's
there's
only
flow force, but
there's only a handful of heroes who can make really good use of Flow Feather. The free-to-play heroes, even though technically speaking they have the res for it, their weapon's not going to match with Tri-Edge Lance, not even remotely. That's a really good weapon. That combination is really hard to beat. I'm willing to bet, like, even if it's like a, say a +10 Sheeta or something, you're not going to outperform an S like this, unless it's, well, in Shia's case, what she specializes against.
I mean, it's when you want that merge project. At some point, the matter of productivity in the meta is outweighed by, you know.
Okay. Yeah, from that degree, I can understand.
I'm looking through them though, and it's still pretty hard.
Like Thorba with piercing tribute.
No one uses Thorba. Only crazy people use the Thorba. Why do you keep mentioning the Thorba? Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
Because I'm sane.
No, you're not. Okay.
That's some serious.
I will look to Cynthia's refine when it happens because she has 29 base res and could kind of use this.
But
29.
There's a small little problem with Cynthia. The problem Cynthia has is called base kit fire sweep lance.
It doesn't matter if she doesn't get counterattack. The whole point is to do the damage.
I would rather have Trace.
Reducing damage as well.
Okay, she wouldn't fully utilize
damage
it. That's
and
the point.
reduces damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so the point I was trying to make, which nice of you guys to back it up. It's very questionable who else would really want to use this in terms of free-to-play heroes. Instead of 5 stars, it's still questionable to be honest. But anyways, it's interesting.
Thea might actually. I mean, granted, there's also Flow Flight, but Thea would probably be a good user of this.
She has more defense than res.
I'd say Flow Flight is just.
She does have more defense than res.
And she gets a visible defense buff anyway.
If you're desperate, if you're desperate for a flow of between the two, then Thea can use either. But
I guess. But...
The only other one is when Sigrun gets a refine, because Sigrun's refine is coming up-ish. Then that might be the only other option I'd look at.
Okay. Well, copium aside, I think they made Essence a really good hero. All stats plus 5, extra damage reduction, Flow Feather doubling that up, attack res push 4 there. I don't like how they skipped her on her C slot, but and Kanto, having Kanto is probably the most important thing.
Second slot syndrome, she's lucky to have a perf. Also, Paula, I don't think has a B slot.
No, it's kind of funny how she's taking. She took so little from that axe flyer.
It's actually kind of. Katria is the only one of the 3 that actually got a full kit, if you think about it, which is kind of funny.
But with
aerobatics, attack speed, bond.
Funny enough, with Paula, at least most just went Vantage. It wasn't that big of a deal because you already had Kanto.
Oh yeah, Paula is. Yeah, Paula also, I will just say, straight up is better.
Yeah, Paula's way better.
Oh wow.
Borderline.
Well, I wouldn't say. Okay, I think way better is a little far, but
I was gonna wait till stats before saying such a thing. But yeah, Paula's very gimmicky.
It's the fundamental idea of an adaptive brave weapon with Kanto.
And even with the Kanto difference, Kanto 2 is better than Kanto Rem plus 1.
Oh yeah,
it's generally a little better because Paula can just run in there and
she can go any amount of movement, warping, whatever, and still retreat too, which is kind of stupid.
I can't fall here. I must make my retreat.
Having experienced some Palas, literally, there are cases where my team can't beat her, and my team objectively is lost from deployment unless I run Hardy Bearing. It's that bad. So
Paula can be the ultimate rock paper scissors character.
Literally. So from that regard, I think she's going to be better no matter what. But I think Est is also one of the best Lance flyers for what that's worth.
All right, well, let's move on to Kamui.
Yeah.
He's in the game.
Yay.
I'm interested in seeing how he differentiates himself from Gi. Suzuki Rika did this. Suzuki Rika is the one who does the angelic characters, right? Or am I crazy?
Oh yeah, Rika
She
Suzuki
does. She has the sort of like
Genealogy.
otherworldly.
His face shape
style.
looks a lot like legendary Sigurd.
Yeah,
I guess kind of, but his face looks so different from legendary Sigurd. I don't know.
That-
Yeah, I
The
wonder why.
face shape.
That's how I imagine Evan's
Yeah.
face to be.
Sigurd's more V like with his face. Yeah, they did
Wow.
August, Sigurd, Resplendent Eldigan. They got a good track record.
She's done a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It just very much screams Kamui to me, which is cool. It reminds me of his Echoes style.
Yeah, it definitely surprisingly it echoes. Haha, the Echoes art style.
All right. Well, with that said, I'm actually a really big fan of this. Upfront blade being demoted.
Springy
That's
sword.
Insane, actually. One of the best free-to-play swords is a straight available.
Really nice. We
Yeah,
didn't have
if
this
you're
in any
making-
form before.
Nope. If you're looking for a speed-based sword, you have two options: this or Rain Sword on
from
Galzus.
I'll give
Which-
this to my Manuela at least.
This is a lot better than.
This is better than Rain
maybe not
Sword.
a lot better, but definitely better.
It,
Yeah.
the condition is the hardest of all conditions nowadays.
Come on, Legion.
But
I
no
still don't agree
debuffing is
with you on this.
huge. But the no debuffing
No
is
debuffs,
huge.
though.
I
is
still
huge.
don't. I still don't
You're
think
not-
faux 75% is that.
It's harder than the others. It's harder. Than
I don't.
The
I
others.
disagree. I
Why?
disagree.
Do you go into every battle of Savage Blow or something? Like, what's going on?
If you're not killing in one combat, then you're likely going to lose the condition.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be just doing
Whereas-
like little chips of
Oh,
damage.
The rationale
Look at
I'll,
the
I'll
other
point out of
options.
that, even if they survive and they're no longer at 75% HP, they're at 60. Okay, you lost 5 attack, you lost 5 seed, but the chances of you killing them in one shot or something is so much higher at this point. Now, there can be tanks
is
and
higher.
whatever that breaks this concept or idea, but generally speaking, I found 75% to be very fair. There's never really been an issue.
It's fine as long as it's not
I will
100%.
Again, modern conditions nowadays are fine, and I think this one's okay. It's just compared to, for example, literally just initiate, literally just enemy phase, or being solo or being near allies. Those are generally easier to control.
I find the faux HP condition to be better than the solo condition.
Okay, that's the only one I think could definitely be argued. The solo condition is very team restrictive or unit restrictive. I'll agree on that. But
Okay, well,
still,
more importantly,
it's not bad condition-wise.
not just that upfront blade has been demoted. It's not just that.
Nope.
Can you guys
Yeah, we've got some
believe
nice
that one of
skills in
speed defense ideal or attack defense oath is going to be demoted? It's probably speed defense ideal, but still, that's a
It's
pretty
going to
decent.
be ideal.
Probably, but
It's the first ideal that's available at 4-star, hypothetically, as a tier 3.
No, we got
Muriel's is
Muriel's is
a
5-star.
5-star.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a tier 3 ideal, hypothetically, Kamui is going to be your guy for that. And
even if
obviously-
not, if it's the oath,
if it's
emote,
Oath,
that's actually quite good.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Oath is
yeah.
a really useful skill.
And especially because we'll eventually get attack defense oath 4. So.
Oh yeah, Oath 4 is
No
going
need to kill
obviously be
Kaizen now.
Yeah, you. Oh yeah, it is just Kiza or Altina.
Yeah,
right now.
and let's not kill Altina quite
No.
yet, because she'll eventually get a remix. And
But like, if you're using a unit who relies on buffs and you want to have that unit ready from deployment, there are very few maps where a unit can be deployed solo, and Oath is thus much easier to make use of.
yeah, I found
Or any
oath
unit
skills
that
to be
wants buffs.
pretty nice. Yeah, I run attack speed oath on my Luin, and I use them in limited battles, and it's quite easy to activate.
Yeah. So from that, which of course then means if you're making an ideal unit, which you can do with Kamui or just use him, Oath is the easiest way to set that whole ideal up. So really appreciate that C slot, really appreciate that A slot, and
Yeah.
really appreciate that weapon.
It's really nice. I mean, Kamui just has pretty much everything going for him
Yep.
with the fodder and with being just a good sword infantry. In today's day, his only problem is, of course, going to be like with Ki,
And Yunfei.
Yeah,
who you want to build.
who you're going to build. Yeah, that's the big thing. That's because they're releasing him and Gi so close together. I really want to see how this comes down because there's no way they're going to be
Well,
exact.
I
Here,
think
first off, Kamui
go ahead,
is
yeah.
4-star focus, so if you really want to build him up, you can do it right now, get a couple copies without having to worry about, like, because 4-star projects could take forever summoning for them naturally.
My
and you only
Benny
get
took
2
until
copies
like
a
just like a couple weeks ago to get all of them. So,
I just finished my +10 Seteth last year. It took me a year to +10 them.
It's been a year later. I still don't have a +10 Benny. +9 moment.
Yeah, so from that regard, obviously Kamui has an advantage because you only get 2 copies of Gi, and then he's just straight up in the 3-star pool, no focus. But also, Kamui comes with a better starting kit than Gi besides Vulture Blade, which you can argue.
I agree.
And slight bias, I think Kamui looks better than Gi.
Oh,
He's art is fine. I think Kamui looks cooler though. Yeah, I agree.
Gi has good
this-
art, but Kamui's
Yeah.
art is better.
This
Yes.
also doesn't really matter, but I think Kamui's more useful is because he can be used in Shadows of Valentia limited hero
Yes.
battles,
Also
and that's
true.
more.
Blazing
God.
Sword
God.
limited battles are pretty easy.
Yeah.
Oh
you
my
got Duo
God.
Lin.
Yeah, we're getting
It's
to
not
the
like
straw.
that.
That
Yeah,
is a
it's not
straw
that.
poll, but
Yeah.
it is technically true, nevertheless.
Yeah, it does help
Yeah.
more.
I mean, okay, Nims, just to be clear, Echo's limited
Uh-huh.
battles for a lot of people are the hardest limited battles
By
by a
far.
long shot.
I can't tell. I can't tell at all.
Especially if you don't have Bridal
If you do not have good Echoes 5-star locks, of which there are a few, then you're gonna suffer usually when it comes to Echoes limited battles.
Yeah, I have a plus attack Valentia Impala, so just saying. All right, well that's cool.
Yeah, shush.
Yeah, luxuries. Okay.
All right,
But-
with that said, this is an amazing unit. Even if you don't plan on ever
Yep.
using him, he's an amazing unit. Thank you for coming to the
Amazing
game, Kamui.
fodder.
If
Glad he's
if I had to
here for
guess
this.
based on his stat spread at Echoes and his
Yes.
and his kit, I would guess
Yes.
he's gonna have similar offenses to Gi, but lean a little more into defense than Res.
Yeah, Gi has a bit of res at base 25. I expect Kamui to have like 20 at best.
I don't know about 20. Maybe I expect low
22.
20s though. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But so I guess if you're looking for a little more min-maxing, Kamui is probably going to be better for that. I guess we'll have to see from that regard, but it really is just a matter of, do you want to build up Kamui, do you want to build up Gi, or do you want to spend the grails on Yanfei?
Because I'm gonna wish him the best. Yanfei is kind of really
Yeah.
hard
Yeah,
to beat.
I'm hoping
so.
this.
Yanfei is really hard to beat. And I will just say now, if you're looking to just build up a God Sword, regardless of your arena scoring, then Rutgers are Fine is literally coming up next month, and it is likely he's going to trounce every other free-to-play sword infantry for God Sword status.
Yep, pretty much.
All right.
It's all but guaranteed. But yeah, I'm happy to. I've been wanting this guy in for a while, and
Absolutely.
he's one of my favorite roles of Bryce Papenbrook. Because I think Bryce Papenbrook can be kind of inconsistent when it comes to voices, but I really like how Kamui sounds. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Doesn't he also do Henry, ironically?
Yes, he does Henry,
Yes.
but I preferred how he did. His voice for Henry was different for Awakening. I loved how he did Henry in Awakening and Heroes. I don't know, it's
Really?
not my favorite.
Fair enough.
All right. More importantly, this, whatever. You guys think it was obvious. I didn't think it was obvious. I thought this was too early. But
I
the
did
Light
not think it
Mother.
was obvious. I'll admit.
I did,
Okay.
But
Ymir
yeah.
is here from Miji Hayashi. We have
Really good artist.
at this point
Just-
established. Yeah.
Just not the Ymir that some Fire Emblem players know already.
Okay.
Hint, hint, legendary.
There is another Ymir, for the record.
All right. But at this point, a couple interesting things came out of this. Number one, it's now very obvious that they're just all gonna be dragons. Like all these realm. Wait a second. That's not true.
Most of the gods are dragons, except for I think one thing
That's so
I read
weird.
is there is a distinction between the dragon gods and like the pantheon gods, like Loki
Yeah,
and
that-
Thor.
That's what I.
Where
Yeah.
some are dragons, and then the ones above them are not.
Okay. Well, thus with Nifl and Muspel, that's just two characters. That was too early to just call any kind of pattern. All right. So them being
Yeah.
an ice dragon,
I mean,
ice dragon cav, and a fire dragon cav, like okay, sure. But this is
they
another
did
point towards that.
call-
Hmm?
They did call Asker and Embla dragons before we even saw them physically, so there's also that. Although
they could end up both being.
If they actually are dragons, I don't know at this point.
I don't know how they can be
I don't think-
dragons.
I still don't think Embla could be a cav.
I don't
What?
either.
Okay, so you're gonna tell me
call-
we're gonna have.
They are.
Okay, so we're gonna have bat dragons and cow dragons now. Is this what you're saying?
That's
the
what
thing.
they call them. They are called
I
dragons.
don't get it.
What?
I don't know what.
What
they're
are
thinking
dragons
yet.
anymore?
They already. I'm pretty sure they called them dragons in the Fate channel too.
Yeah. I mean, it might be they take elements, or they're just straight up don't look like dragons, but they're called them anyway. I don't know.
It's all up in the air at this point. We'll have to just wait and see.
But my guess is the gods of the 9 realms are dragons, and the ones above them aren't. That's my supposition at the moment.
I'm so confused where this is going, because I was like, okay, I see the pattern here. They're all gonna be dragons, and then I remembered we have Embla. That's clearly not a dragon, and we have Askar, and he's clearly. He doesn't even look like a. He doesn't even look like a cow. He just looks like a bimbo. There you go. Like what? Go ahead.
Himbo?
I'm coming for him.
Himbo.
Whatever. It's all the same to me. Listen, the point is, I don't see it at all. But whatever. It's confusing to me. Anyways, another godly somehow. While I could understand the tinfoil-hatted Fire Emblem Heroes players who said Nifl is not a mythic hero because she gave her powers to Fjorm, and while I could understand the similar tinfoil hat people who said Muspel is not a mythic hero because he gave his power to Legyarn, what is this then?
She gave her
power to air.
Like
She did, by the way.
Yeah.
She did?
Excuse me.
it's
A space
unfortunate. you
ox
didn't
near
do that.
agitated.
Whoa, Echo. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, okay, first of all, I haven't read the Tempest Trials thing yet. I was gonna do that today, but
Sorry. I mean, I didn't spoil much. I'll just say that. But yeah, she does that as well.
are you're telling me we just got a Tempest Trials where they introduced it super seriously, and then every moment after that is about a beach vacation, at the end of which somehow Air is like, wow, this vacation was so good, I am actually dead.
Doesn't bring
Give
it
me
up
your
at all.
powers.
Doesn't bring it up at all. The beginning and the end are tied to each other, and the middle is its own isolated thing
Yeah, they're
related to
different
the banner.
stories.
And during this
Which
time, Air ate a chocolate bar and she found out it had a golden ticket, and she goes to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Why not put stuff like that inside of it? You're putting everything, like, this story at this point doesn't, you can put whatever you want into it and it doesn't affect anything. Oh my god.
They're separate
Whatever.
stories.
It's just, all right, whatever. I'm so pissed off at this point. Like, how do you write like this? How does somebody at IS be like, this is a great plan, approved?
I don't
All right.
find it. That's the word. I don't.
Listen, you're approaching this like an abuse victim. You've been abused by IS and Fire Emblem Heroes for so many years now. You've gotten used to it. You can't even tell this is bad anymore. I understand, Legion. It's okay. We'll get through
I know
this.
that there's quality problems with the writing. I don't care about the setup of having an in-between that is relating to the banner. Not an overarching story, but anywho.
Oh, man. I can't wait for the next Tempest Trials where they start off super seriously and in between is just some random adventure. Let's go.
It's gonna be about the pirate banner. Which, for the record, this Tempest Trial has a story, but then you go into the Tempest Trial and the map has nothing to do with the story. Just saying.
So we're gonna have more of Gangrel. Sorry, who's it again? Gangloot. I'm sorry. Gangloot, Ymir, and Air talking, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, pirates just show up. And we're on this swashbuckling adventure going across the seas and plundering. And Air's just like, I'm a pirate now. What the fuck? What the hell is this?
Being a pirate is alright to be. Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
And then Ganglock shows up and just like, I'm actually a pirate lord. What the hell?
Surprise.
I'm so done with this. Oh god. All right, let's talk about the hero. This story, I'm sorry, chat. Like, I think a lot of us recognize the story is bad and nothing's ever gonna get done. So I'm just wasting my breath talking about it, but like, it's so ridiculous. How do you not say anything? Okay, attack Resident E, great. Attack AR near trace, great. I think of all, there's only 2 others, but all of the domain bearing dragons thus far, she's the best in terms of the kit. The other 2 had etherate skills. I hate
they were AR.
I love
units.
that so much more.
I actually. Okay,
Wow.
Nifl and Moosebell unfortunately came at a time where near trace wasn't as common. Was it even?
Yeah,
No, it was not common. It was not common though. So unfortunately, Nifl just got LOL, and Moosebell got Dragon Wall, which is pretty alright. But yeah, they got ARD skills, which I guess somebody had to do it. But in retrospect, I will say Nifl actually uses it quite well. She is an ARD unit in my opinion. Moosebell,
Who keeps foddering him? I hate it.
He has Rally Up Attack Plus
Rally Up
and
Attack.
Dragon Wall. That's actually really good fodder now.
Yeah, Moosebell is damn good fodder. Especially once well, not yet. Rally Up pre-fodder is only just starting, and so until we get Rally Up Attack, it's gonna be a little rough. Which, speaking of, Rally Up Attack Plus.
Yes. I didn't get why she got Rally Up Attack Plus, like, must have already had it. Like, why did we have to go back?
I would have
to this?
expected Rally... I would have expected, like, Rally Up Defense Plus.
Yeah.
Or res.
Or Res, but... What did Nifl get again?
Rally of defense res.
Yep.
Yeah. So Rally Up Res would even be realistic, but... Rally Up Attack is still really useful, though. I do not complain.
All right. Anyways, I like her kit more than everybody else. Attack Res Unity goes perfectly in hand with Ever Living Domain being within 2 spaces, and I guess Ever Living Breath technically still wants to be within 2 spaces, but point is, fits perfectly. The fact that she got Trace, well, I can argue for Muspel having Drying Wall, but Trace, that is so much more useful. She can potentially attack and reposition herself to be near more allies, and much better than LOL, yes.
Or assist. Or assist and reposition to be near allies.
Right.
Which, keeping in mind the +1, you can use it to boost yourself forward and get into a position you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Which is really useful.
All right, but more than just that, Every Living Domain, is this the best domain skill?
Is it?
So here's the thing. I like Muspel's
know.
extra damage. It actually is a pretty good difference maker. And
That's
Nifl...
a really cool C slot.
Right.
I
And
think Nifl's
yeah?
is really useful because Nifl provides more than just Domain of Ice. It's a really useful backup tool, though, to make allies more tanky.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, if we are just to look at it strictly from C, I think Every Living Domain...
There's
I'm
a
not
chance
sure
that
exactly
Ever Living
if the
Domain
wording
is
means
not
you
as
have to be
busted
in
as we
combat
initially
75%
thought.
HP
Check
and
this
then
thread
not
out
die
anyways.
from
We will
75
know
to
for
0.
sure after some testing is done once Simmer launches.
It's a little confusing.
It's just if you are ever at 70, if you're ever above 75%, any hit when you're above 75% will not KO you, but as soon as you're below 75%, whether like at the start of combat, during combat, you can die
What?
during combat.
As long as that's the way the phrasing is explicitly trying to say it, which it may not be.
Wait a second. Are you saying to me you must die in one shot for this to trigger?
Hypothetically, we do not know.
It will always, assuming you're above 75% HP at start of combat, it will always protect you from at least one hit, assuming it's not being like blocked by green feud or something. You will always live at least one hit, but you can still die during that combat.
That's just a miracle. But the whole point is the running theory is that since this doesn't say at start of combat if unit's HP is greater than or equal to blah blah blah. If at any point during that combat you fall below 75% and then take another hit, it will be.
That's what I'm thinking.
It can't be protected by this.
So
Legendary now doesn't really care about this.
So say you survive, chat, the first blow with like 2 HP. you would expect Miracle to trigger, but instead it's counting it from the 2 HP onwards, in which case you just die.
Hypothetically.
That's crazy to
I
me.
mean, conversely, if you heal above 75% HP, then the miracle will go off, even though you might not have started the combat at 75.
Yeah, it's good luck doing that.
Okay, well,
hypothetical.
That's more detrimental than useful, but yeah, I suppose there's a situation technical.
We don't know. We don't know yet. But either way, it could realistically save you from like one-shots that are way too... It makes it a little harder for a unit to just get right in and throw somebody down and get rid of them.
Yeah, it's basically just to protect you from like instantly charged lethality or instantly charged Deadeye.
Yep.
That you have like a chance to counterattack, for example.
And you also don't die. Like if you're squishy and you only get hit once, that one hit can't kill you. If it's your first one. So we'll have to see what the phrasing means, but either way, the idea of a drive miracle in any sense of the imagination is really good.
Right.
It's just whether or not it's better than just straight up 30% damage reduction first hit.
So
I don't think it is, but
wow. From the perspective of like
just because it's not at start of combat.
Well, again,
we don't know for sure yet.
It could be phrased wrong. Well, it could be phrased wrong.
Sure, but the chance of that is less than what it says right
We've
now.
had phrasing wrong.
We've had so many translation errors.
Yes, but the chance of that happening is less than what it would be saying right now. It's not impossible.
Not really.
Still can't believe Ymir can let Fjorn
really
live a Crom Deadeye shot and then get a one-shot with Ice Mirror. This truly is the timeline kappa.
Okay, so what Gmo said is what I find interesting. Like, that could be really good. So the other point of this is that in terms of Aether8's defense, if this works properly, working under assumption of properly, because we don't know yet, but if we go under the assumption of working it properly, if it is a really good team, like, do you realize how ridiculous it can get? For example, it is now Dark Season. You are running... What's his name again? Starts with M.
Dark Season Medius.
Yeah, you're running him. You are running like Vector for a far save. You're running another hero for close save, and now you have Ymir. So you don't take bolt tower damage, and if somehow they get to kill one of your tanks, they survive by 1 HP. And if they can't take them down in those battles, boom, your healing tower gets you back up again. Like, this could be very disastrous for a lot of players. If you don't have a tank buster, there could literally be combinations where you just lose now.
Yep. There are, like, regardless of how it works, there will be cases where you literally just straight up... Because sometimes, yeah, you can win in 2 combats, but 2 is more than 1. And that second combat, first of all, may not always be an option, and second of all, may really put other things in danger to have to take it in the first place. And that alone is more than terrifying a prospect enough to be worth evaluating when the skill comes out.
Yes.
And
now,
not even from the defense perspective, but from the offense perspective, if you survive a whole phase with Ever-Living Domain, you can then use the perf to heal 10 to 20 HP to those allies, and suddenly you're back to full without having to use a healer. So now you're just back to that 75%, and the miracle loop effectively continues.
Okay, so this is the other thing that really gets to me. Of all the dragons, she might have the best domain. Some people debate, sure. But she also might be just flat out the best dragon. Why does she get to auto double?
Yeah, why does Moosebell not?
Yeah, why does Moosebell not?
Moosebell and Niffle are... They came out a year earlier. And they came out right before weapons started getting an extra effect. But literally, if you were to cut off this weapon before the follow-up, it would look like one of theirs. But the fact that there's the extra thing after that, no.
So for that reason, I think she's really scary.
Yeah.
She's very min-maxed. So she's not a dead weight like Muspel is on most teams. Muspel, if he can kill in one shot, great, but usually that doesn't happen. And so Ymir is actually a better fighter.
Higher if he wants to be good. Yeah.
Right. So this got really funny in a lot of ways. Anyways, because of her, I think this banner is actually really worth watching. If it was just Celica, actually, would have been pretty sleeper on it, to be honest. Like, it's not that I think S is bad. I don't. And, well, Kamui, as good as he is...
Kamui, if you're, again, if you're not going for a Grail project and you want this banner, if you want this banner in any other capacity, going for Kamui merges now, and you're not, like, if you want to use a +10, is better than getting him later. It will take way longer.
Okay. So, as a whole, the banner is really good. I mean, we still have one more character. I'll talk about him really quickly.
Of course.
Atlas. He looks really good in terms of art.
His art is fantastic.
He's a slow axe infantry. But Balthus already exists. That's the problem.
Balthus does already exist, but I guess it's what Atlas brings and Balthus doesn't.
What would he bring? Balthus, I think, is like perfect. Like, super boon and attack, high defense, high res. Like, I don't know what Atlas can offer.
Less speed or
even less
else?
speed? That's really hard.
That would be really hard. I genuinely don't know, because where is Balti here? His stats are ridiculous. Yeah, 24 speed and 31 res. You'd have to be pretty hard pressed to beat that.
Am I still echoing?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
Very.
I'll wait. Okay, I'll wait. I'll mute again.
Okay.
Okay. It is gonna be hard no matter what. I mean, on the bright side, some people want to build Atlas just because it's Atlas, but then again, a lot of people wanted to build Balthus because it's Balthus.
I think there are more people on the Balthus.
Yes, and the worst part is we're right on the verge of another BST shift, probably.
Oh, you're right. That timing's terrible. Well, this just got awkward. Well, so I'm gonna just say this. I wish Atlas the best, but he's gonna struggle to differentiate himself. By the way, Balthus also just exposes his chest, if not more. Actually, it depends on angle. But they both expose their chest. Like,
at least they both have really good art.
So, but the bare minimum, Atlas is good fodder. You guys said it was stout axe?
Yes, stout axe. That's a really good axe.
You should give that to your brave Edelgard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always talked about that.
Okay, that's
kind of dumb and stupid.
How can I fire you?
50%. You get 50%
on the first shot and 80 on the second. I get it, but it's so dumb.
82nd, and you still follow up because Black Eagle Rule does all the follow-up manipulation.
Or, like a smart person, I wait until the end of the summer and realize, oh wait, Edelgard's Refine's amazing, and I don't need to do that.
Unless it doesn't have first hit protection and you just want to be immortal.
Alright.
You never know.
With that said, if you had to give it a mark, this banner out of 10, what would it be?
Technically, I'd say like 7.5 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I'm thinking I have the 7.5 to 8. I think Ymir is amazing, but not sure how amazing just yet. We gotta wait until we see that C slot. I think Celica is one of the best chances a mage has ever had as an infantry, but is also just a mage infantry, so rough. And Est is really solid, but not in a class that needs that kind of competition.
Yeah, I said 7.5, but now after thinking about it, I'm gonna give it a 6.
I would never go that low.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me at all. Evan, you have the most questionable numbers ever.
Well, it's like S doesn't really like offer anything worthwhile, even fodder-wise. Really, like Cloak Feather is okay, but it's not really desirable.
S herself is pretty solid, though.
Even that.
And for a Lance Flyer, you're probably not going to find many Lance Flyers better than Est.
Even I still think she's that
We've got like young Tana, but she's never been.
And Celica's like alright, like her fodder's good too. She's solid. Then Ymir, I'm just like kind of underwhelmed. Like assuming she works how she's supposed to work. I'm like,
I don't think
I won't say suppose, just what is written.
Why are we debating this? We had all the time in the world to debate it. All right, I'm just gonna say, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. If in fact it is not Ymir's C slot, is not what we think it is, in which case you can break the miracle during combat. I hate that idea. If that is the case, it's 8 out of 10. But the reason why I put 8.5 is because, yeah.
On the other hand, you can fix it during combat, but yeah.
That's harder to pull off, is what I'm saying, and it's more limiting.
Yeah.
Okay, Celica's quite impressive to me. No offense, but she's probably the most interesting infantry mage in like 2 years. They've been so boring. Who?
I'm trying to think.
I think Time has been the best thing this year thus far, but I didn't even think that was that interesting.
I would like to say that Justice Banner is great and all, but at the rate things are going, what does it tell me they'll release a unit that utilizes miracle effects next month or so? Very hard pressed to summon under this type of assumption.
Also, if we are extending it to 2 years, then you got Male Byleth. Which, Male Byleth is out and away one of the best mages ever.
You could argue Gatekeeper is a pretty interesting mage.
Gatekeeper is most certainly interesting. Whether or not he's good, which I obviously has already justified him to be.
Also, Nime.
Clearly, the best.
Okay, so if we have to make a short list, okay, maybe the 2 Byleths and Tyne, but that's it. Like, they don't really make interesting.
Gatekeeper is interesting fundamentally. As is Marianne.
I didn't think he was interesting. Yes, he's interesting, I guess.
What
when
about
it comes to different.
Okay, yeah. You said both Byleths, right? Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, to be honest, I didn't think they were that interesting. All I viewed them as, yes, technically there's no fault. I have not seen somebody utilize it correctly or to its potential yet. All I saw was a mage that one-shot you a lot, which wasn't that interesting to me, but I get it.
If we count refines, there are some interesting ones.
There are very few mage infantries that are actually threatening enough to be considered imposing, and Male Byleth is one of the few.
Right.
And I will say that no follow-up has actually already been servicing you very well.
Just because he makes you blow up doesn't necessarily make him interesting, therefore.
Well, he provides support and makes you blow up.
Listen, this is my goddamn opinion. I can say whatever I want. I can say I find this interesting because she's wearing green. All right? Okay. With that said,
of course.
Let's go over...
I will extend one other Limstella. If we are talking interests. Limstella is one of the more unusual mages.
I guess, sure. I was interested about Limstella, but I guess it got kind of overlooked because of all the drama people forced onto it.
Yeah.
Even if there wasn't any drama, it would just GHB units were interesting.
All right, let's see. Wow. Will you pull a new special summon Ymir More Banners? 442 votes. 28% says yes. 35% says no, and maybe it's 37%. That is actually atrocious. Wow.
It's hard to say. It's structured so differently from the other